Whispers. I'm Adam Elliott, your host. Today's episode is brought to you by the most anticipated film coming to theaters this summer. It's called Tip of the Iceberg, and it's about the only Moyle who was aboard the Titanic when it sank. Did you know there was a Moyle aboard the Titanic when it sank? Well, there was, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. His name was Rabbi Shmuel Isaac Bergensteinowitz, or as his friends affectionately called him, Shmuel the Moyle. The film tells Shmuel's story of bravery as he performed the ceremony of the Bris Milah, as the Titanic was shaking furiously and plunging down to the depths of the ocean. He had the steadiest hand in the business, and he knew cutting that baby's pee-pee was what God would have wanted, and his dying act was making sure that baby boy went to heaven with a mushroom cut. Tip of the Iceberg stars Liev Schreiber as Shmuel the Moyle in what critics are calling the role of his career. You think you know the whole story of the Titanic. You don't. You only know the tip of the iceberg, coming to theaters and synagogues this summer. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Cecilia Kurachi, who is a New York-based actor who has recently starred in the new short film Giant, which just made its world premiere at the Inwood Film Festival. Cecilia, welcome to Everybody Whispers.
Hey Adam, thanks so much for having me. This is so interesting.
We've had the great pleasure of working together, and I've so enjoyed getting to see you work, and I've been looking forward to having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I was very excited when you gave me the call, because this is quite difficult for me. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's a challenge.
It's a challenge to whisper.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest challenge for you?
Well, I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm very Hispanic, and so we're very loud, and so this is sort of unorganic for me, but I love a challenge.
And your parents and your whole family is Argentinian.
Yeah. So I was born there. I came to the States when I was 8 years old, and I feel like it's a very unique experience that it's not for everybody. It takes a whole crew to make that change and to shift. But I was very lucky and very fortunate to be here. So.
And do you still get to go back to Argentina a fair amount?
Yeah, we've been trying to go a little bit more often. Last time I went was in August, and it's very politically unstable. But it's always nice to see cousins, especially after a long time, especially when new births have kind of made their way into the family, and you haven't seen people in a long time. So
Yeah, I'm not close with any of my cousins, so I think that's great. I think it's great to be close, not too close with cousins.
Everybody whisper.
You recently came out with a wonderful short film that I happen to be a producer on, called Giant, directed by Dylan Tuccillo. What's been the experience of making a short film and releasing it out to the world?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I think for me, the best experiences are meeting people and sort of the memories and the connections that you kind of walk away from when it comes to the art of it, tapping into a story, and trying to understand. I think it's kind of bullshit to be oh, we're telling people stories. So I think, but it's true. But I think for me, it's more about tapping into the circumstances of somebody else's life, and when you see that short film, it's girl, and it's about grief, and it's about acceptance, and that was interesting to sort of tap into.
How am I as an AD, assistant director?
We've talked a lot about this, but you're very different from your emails. I think when we first met, you were what's your lunch order? Give it to me straight. And then when I met you, I think you're still that way. But you're more goofy and fun. I think that you're a very comedic person.
I try.
But yeah, you're very organized.
I am.
So if this is an advertisement, for Adam as an AD, hire him. Producer.
I'm very organized, since I take pride in my organizational habits.
Well, that was also when COVID was happening, and we had to get tested. Remember all that?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of stuff.
I mean, technically COVID is still happening, but
right.
it's not as crazy. We talked about your height. How tall are you?
So I'm 4'9", so I'm pretty small.
4'9". And you mentioned that you have kid shoes.
But yeah, are you gonna show them? You can go. I mean, I have to take that long. Yeah. So they're kids. I'm looking at the cameras.
It's okay.
Are we allowed to?
Yeah, sure. We can break the fourth wall. I'm breaking the fourth wall right now. Yeah, there we go.
And so, yeah, they're kids' shoes, which I think is a benefit because, you know, in this economy.
We're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's called Hypothetically Speaking.
Wait, before we play, can I just ask you,
Yeah.
what is why are we whispering? Like, is there like a long-term objective?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. That's a good question. I will tell you this. There is a very good reason why we're whispering, and I'm committed to giving you that information when the time is right. I did sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I'm not allowed to really say right now, but I think it's nice to just whisper and just be quiet because we live in a loud world, and having said that, we really appreciate you being here. So we're gonna play a game, and the game is called Hypothetically Speaking. I'm gonna pose a hypothetical question to you, and you're going to let me know how you would react in that situation.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say you're going to the UPS store to pick up a package, and you're going at the same time as someone else walks into the UPS store at the same time as you. You hold the door for them, and they go online in front of you, and you say to them, hey, look, I held the door for you. I should probably go ahead of you in line. And they say, no, that's not how it works. You held the door. I came in first. I'm in line first. And you're like, no, that's not how life works, bro. Like, I held the door for you. The hold warrants the skip. And they're like, no, the hold doesn't warrant the skip. So hypothetically speaking, would you let someone in front of you in line if they held the door for you?
Yeah, because I'm a people pleaser and I don't like confrontation. Unless you're catching me on a bad day or like I'm on my period or something. Like,
Got it.
I'll like not make a scene, but like you know, like my bitch face will come out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different.
I was dating a girl once who was I knew it wasn't gonna work out. Like, she was just acting like she was not acting nice for the majority of the time we were spending together. And then one day, like 2 or 3 weeks in, she hits me up and she's like, I can't hang out. I'm on my period and you don't want to be around me when I'm on my period. And in the back of my mind, I was like, wait a minute.
It gets worse.
You haven't been on your period this whole time. What are you like? So anyway, I never talked to her again. But no, I think it's well, let's talk about women's health. It's cute.
I'm surprisingly very open about it, but like we don't. Yeah, I mean whatever. Like
No, I think
I use it as a way to justify my bad mood, but like I think I'm just like. I mean, I was born in like South America, and I think we just come very like feisty.
Okay.
I don't think it's like, but I use my period to justify that.
there was a real pause after come, and I was like waiting to see. Okay, no. So like, I read an entire book about menstruation.
Yeah.
I did because, so this is a true story. This was on another episode. I'm gonna tell the story again. There was this girl that followed me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I think we had one mutual friend. It was a dancer friend of ours, and I realized I was seeing a dance show in a few days that she was in. And I was like, oh, maybe she knew I was coming to the show, whatever. So I DM'd her, which I never do. I don't do that, And she was like, yeah, come see me after the show. We'll talk. I'd love to. I was like, oh, cool. And I'm thinking, like, like, this is great. I'm gonna go see this show and get to meet this girl, whatever. So I go to the show. After the show, I meet her. We're talking, and I was like, so what else you got going on? She said, I wrote a book. I was like, I'd love to read the book. And she was like, yeah, the link is on my Instagram bio. You should buy it. I was like, okay, I will. So I go home and I look at the link, and the whole book is about menstruation.
Menstruation.
It's about menstruation, yeah. And like periods and all that. But by then I had already agreed to read the book. So I bought the book and I read it, thinking like, all right, this, like, if I read this book, I'll definitely get a date with this girl. Yeah. And so I read the book, the whole book, and I run into our mutual friend, and I told her the story. And I was like, yeah, I read the book because I thought, it'd be nice to follow up, to go out when I go out with her. And she said, man, she has a boyfriend.
Oh, no. He probably read the book like 5 times. Damn, where did you go wrong?
What the fuck? And so I was like, I'm never reading a book again. That's the last one. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about menstruation.
I love how you say it.
Is that how you pronounce it? Menstruation. Menstruation. I like mine better.
Wait, this is going a little bit off topic, but like, I tell people this story and they think it's like so weird, but I'm fascinated with conception. I just think it's like so fascinating. And like I'll watch like conception videos, not porn. Conception videos. So like how, like, the animation of like how the sperm and like, it's so fascinating. I think in another life I was like an obstetrician. That's why I'm not that.
Obstetrician.
I'm an actor instead. But yeah, it's something I find very fascinating.
I think life is a miracle.
You sound so like unhappy about that.
Well, it is a fascinating thing. When you think about it, the fact that I was the strongest sperm is crazy to me. Like, I was the best out of like billions of my dad's sperms. I was the one that made it. Some days I can't even get out of bed. It'd be funny if they
understand.
If they made a parody of Inception, but they called it Conception. And it's about, like, how it's like the dream within the dream.
Yeah.
It would be like the intercourse within the intercourse.
Right.
Inception is... Did you ever see Inception?
No, I fall asleep. I fall asleep in every movie.
You fell asleep during Inception?
Yeah, don't most people fall asleep
That
during Inception?
movie's about dreams.
Oh, I fall asleep during everything.
Christopher Nolan only makes movies about dreams and time. That's it. I love him. I'm fascinated with time as a concept. I think that's like a really... And it's such a hard concept to wrap your head around. If you think about it, time is a man-made construct.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And the way we use it, I think to our detriment. I think we could be using time in a much better way.
Yeah.
I think time limits us too much. The way we use it.
And it puts so much pressure on us too. I think when we think about like deadlines and things like that.
Something I did a lot, especially as a creative, for a long time, was I gave myself deadlines. I said, okay, if I haven't accomplished A, B, and C by this age, then I would give it up. Don't stop doing creative things. And I've stopped doing that because it's not healthy. If you're a creative person, you can't really signpost it.
There's no sense in giving yourself deadlines in the industry, but also in life. I think it's just so inefficient.
And you find different ways to, I call them creative side quests. You find different ways to be creative too, that sometimes you can surprise yourself. I want to thank Cecilia for coming on to the show. Thank you for whispering with us, and please look out for Cecilia's new short film, Giant, directed by Dylan Tuccillo, which is currently on the festival circuit. Cecilia, thank you for whispering with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really uncomfortably beautiful.